My name is Joe Dalton, entrepreneur and business coach. Welcome to Breakthrough Brands. Each week we bring you an inspirational story and an insight to the minds of some of the top business leaders, authors and mentors from around the globe. Whatever is needed to make you shine in life and business, you'll find it here.
This week's show we have Jack Daly. Jack is an experienced and inspirational sales trainer and sales coaching expert who inspires audiences to take action in the area of sales management, corporate culture and sales training. He brings 30 years of field-proven experience from a starting base with a CPA firm, Arthur Andersen, to the CEO level of several national companies. Jack is a proven CEO, having built 6 companies into national firms, 2 of which he subsequently sold to the Wall Street firms of Salomon Brothers and First Boston.
Do you want to discover how to be unique in your marketplace, transform your business by attracting and inspiring your ideal client, or have myself, Joe Dalton, to speak at your next event? Would you like to attend one of my workshops or be coached by myself? If any of the above are of interest, please contact me, joe@jdc.ie. And Jack Daly, welcome to Breakthrough Brands. How are you, my friend?
I'm terrific. Thanks for having me here.
Oh, Jack, I'm delighted. I'm a big fan of yourself. After seeing you last year, the Pendulum Summit beforehand, watching some of your videos online, I never thought I'd have the day when I'd actually be interviewing you.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And as you know, I'm coming into Dublin on the 9th of October for a full-day session and hope to spread that energy that I bring to the stage into the audience and change people's lives for the better.
Definitely. But tell me, where did it all start? What age did you realise? I know that you were always passionate about what you did, but when did you realise, hang on, I'm going to spend my life in sales and selling, then say being an accountant?
Well, I'm going to predate that and then I'll shift the gears. So my first selling job was 7 years old, and I loved what I was doing. I owned the market, and I charged twice the price of every kid I competed with, and I had no idea why the kids were playing hide and seek and tag when no one was paying them to have so much fun that I was having. So I got the sales bug very early. At 13 years old, I had built a company that had 5 employees by the time I was 1 year in business, and they did all the work, and I kept 70% of the money. So I've had the sales gene in me for a long, long time. Now, with the question you asked was, how did I get from being an accountant over into the sales side? Well, it's actually the better question is, how did that accountant get in there? So the accountant came in because in the summer of my 13th year, I interviewed 200 successful business owners, and so many of them told me one of the secrets to success as a business owner was to understand how the numbers work. So I went to school to become an accountant so that I can understand how the numbers would work when I went out into the real world and started building companies. So the accountant side is the weird thing. The sales and entrepreneur is the natural.
It's a match made in heaven. That's what it is. Like, my wife is my accountant. She's also a nutritionist. And the beauty of it is we know the books and we eat healthy.
I love that.
So tell me, with yourself, you go on the road an awful lot. Life changed for you, I believe, when you wrote your book. Your wife travels the world with you as well. There's a lot that's changing with social media and the way people are selling. And, you know, some people believe that cold calling is dead and social selling is the new way of doing business. What's your thought on the topic?
Well, you know, I would tell you this, Joe, that the world of selling has changed significantly, and it has not changed. So the change is the ability to leverage technology. We can reach more people at less of an investment in time and money. And so that's the big change. And I challenge my audiences of sales to say, are you leveraging the technology aspects out there that you're capable of leveraging? Therefore, going deeper with your existing customers and gathering new ones. So there's a lot to be said about leveraging technology in sales. However, the things that haven't changed in sales are things like selling is the transfer of trust. People do business with people they trust. Things like people do business with people they like, and they tend to like people that are more like them. And I can also tell you that the latest study that we've seen says that it takes 9 outreaches, 9 touches before your prospect even knows you exist. And so those are basics. Those are continuums. I don't see them changing on the near horizon. And so we need to marry the technologies of today, and social media is one of those technologies, with the basic fundamentals of trusting and liking the people that we're doing business with.
I agree. I remember the best business advice I got when I was 18 in sales was from an owner of a company I worked for, and he says, when you're going out there, you like people, they like you. If they like you, they'll buy off you. And that's the way he went out 30 odd years ago, and that's what.
Yeah, well, and I would also tell you that, and I meet hundreds of thousands of people in what I do. I haven't had a lot of people come to me and disagree with that, and that is that people do not want to be sold to.
No.
And so the job of a salesperson is less about selling and helping your prospect and customer to buy. And that subtle difference between selling someone something and helping them to buy is profound.
I became a professional salesperson in my 20s when I was trained by a man called Lee Du Bois. I don't know if you remember him. And in the 70s, he probably trained more people than anyone else. With him, it was always never sell, let the customer buy. And even now, when I'm speaking to people, I say, look, you're not going in to sell something. You're going in to help the person. And once they figure out that they're going in there to help, their whole attitude changes. They don't think they're going in to battle with someone about trying to close a deal.
Yeah, and I would tell you that when you marry that one up with the concept that we need to go out and have a good number of candidates or prospects in our pipeline, because what you don't want to be in a position as a salesperson is needy and greedy. And so if we try to push the prospect to meet our timetable, then they're going to feel under pressure and being sold to again. So if you have enough valid prospects in your pipeline, then you can let the process move at its pace of naturalness, and the naturalness is what induces people to buy.
People can smell desperation.
Absolutely.
So with technology bringing on board, and sort of we're looking at technology and we're looking at AI and we're looking at bots, do you think a lot of the sales jobs out there will diminish because of technology, and only then the rainmakers or the true closers will actually be the ones that are kept employed?
I think you're on point. I think that we will see less numbers of people in the profession of sales, and the people that will be the survivors are going to be the people that are practicing their trade along the lines that we've been chatting here now, and being cognizant of what's happening out in the world and saying, how can I best leverage these tools to enable my naturalness as a salesperson to become more present in the marketplace?
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk as well out there about social selling, that people are saying, you know, cold calling is dead. All you do is just post up a couple of blogs and get the people into a funnel. And I've had conversations with Andy Paul and Jed Blunt, and we're sort of saying that cold calling isn't dead. It has to be involved with social selling. Everything, you have to be doing all pieces to generate sales, because if you're relying on lead generation or you're relying on social selling, you could be waiting forever for leads to come in.
Yeah, well, on top of that, the concept of cold calling needs to be tempered a little bit. And what I mean by that is, I like to say, rather than cold call, warm them up.
Yeah.
And how we warm them up is a variety of different things working within the construct of social media. As an example, I have many people that follow me on Facebook. and I'm not selling on Facebook, but what you will find is that of the tens of thousands of people that are Facebook friends of mine, they'll see that I was playing a top 100 golf course, or I was running a marathon. All of those thousands of people that are Facebook friends don't comment on that, but the ones that are golfers or marathoners or runners will. And over time, what we're finding is people are gravitating towards me because, quote unquote, they're beginning to warm up to me. They're beginning to like me. Then, if I'm playing in the LinkedIn world and mention, hey, I'm coming to Dublin with my session on October the 9th, then all of a sudden people are more receptive to looking into that piece a little bit deeper than if it were just a blind cold call of me saying, hey, I'm coming to Ireland on October 9th, and you know nothing about me.
I don't even like the word actually cold calling. It should be cold reach, because it could be an email, it could be a message, it could be a video popping up somewhere. I think when you mentioned those words, cold calling, it scares the living daylights out of a lot of people.
Yeah, and so, earlier you heard me mention the touches.
Yeah.
And those touches can be snail mail and email and voicemail and social media, and all of those types of mechanisms have to be taken into consideration when we build our plan as to how we're going to approach our market.
Are you traveling much?
So the question is one that I laugh at, because we have to take into context not only the business side, Joe, but the personal side.
Yeah.
So I have a nice blend, is what I call it. Now, everyone's appetite for travel differs. Mine is voracious. And so I would tell you that my anticipation for 2019 is that in the last 25 years, I will travel more air miles next year than any other, and I regularly travel about 250,000 air miles a year.
My God, living out of a suitcase. Who would have thought that would have been the dream when you were 20?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to Kenya next year on a safari. I have 2 cruises. I have a vacation in Hawaii. I have a 3-week tour in India, a 10-day tour in Southeast Asia, a 10-day tour in Australia. And if I were to ask most people, hey, would you like to go to these variety of places, I think the hands would go up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I travelled for maybe 8 years in and out of the UK, and then I used to fly backwards and forwards to the States as well. And everyone used to go, oh, that's lovely, you must be lucky staying in hotels. I says, it gets very sad and very boring after a while. I says, yeah.
Well, my home is on the beach in Southern California, and when in the state of California, we have 40 million people. So I'd rather be on an airplane than on the freeway here, I can tell you that.
And my most favourite place in the world as well is San Fran. I love San Fran. Spent a bit of time in San Diego, but San Fran was my place to be, and we'll end up there again. What advice would you give to people, young people who were starting out in sales, because of the way things are changing? Would you encourage them, or would you kind of go, look, you need to do A, B, and C before you get out there?
The biggest and best thing that I could tell a early entry person into the sales side is find people who have mastered the trade and hook yourself to their belt and ride shotgun.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me how few people tap into that type of an environment. What I have found my entire life is successful people are very open with their time to giving it to people that say, I'd like to learn from you.
Yeah.
What doesn't happen so often is that we get humble enough to say, that person knows a lot more about this than me. I'm going to go to and kneel at the altar of learning.
The other thing as well I've noticed, if you look at the papers and you'll pop up jobs for salespeople, they don't call them salespeople anymore. They're business development, or they're called, sales manager, just for, like, why is it such a dirty word when, I'm proud to be a salesperson. I wear it with a badge of honor.
Yeah, and I would tell you that I work with some clients that I have to spend the opening 30 minutes of a full day presentation on cleansing the mind. That somehow the whole organization culturally has washed out this word sales, where quite frankly, if we didn't have sales, no one else in the organization would have anything to do, including the CEO and managing director. Certainly the accountant wouldn't have anything to do. The operations people wouldn't have anything to do. The marketing people would have nothing to do. Nothing gets done without at least someone saying, I want to buy from you. And that's what the art of selling is.
So would you go into a company and look at their, as you said, looking at their process, fixing their minds to saying, look, you need these guys. Do you look at the marketing as well, or do you just and combine it all as one, or is it just going in to help their sales process and to build better relationships with their clients?
Now, in most cases, I'm hired to just stay within the silo of sales. The clients that do a better job with me are looking at it in total. I have another channel of my business, Joe, that is CEO coaching that I do one-on-one with people. And there I take a more holistic approach, and there isn't anything in the organization that doesn't have my fingers in it. And if we can get it all working in concert with one another, we have that much more of a powerful organization.
It must be a great feeling to know that you're changing people's lives for the better.
It is the number one reason why I do what I do. I had a great run as an entrepreneur. Between the ages of 26 and 46 years old, I had the opportunity to build 6 companies into national companies in the U.S., 2 of which I sold to Wall Street. In the last 20 years, I've been doing what I've been doing around the world, which is helping companies and people grow. And the number of people that have come back to me in some methodology and said, this is where I was and this is where I am now, and you were a big contributor along the way. Those are the moments that I live for.
Have you ever met anyone, Jack, and you've said to them, sorry, you're not cut out for sales, or you shouldn't be an entrepreneur, you don't have it?
I've met at least the number of those people that the number of days that I've been on the planet is. In other words, there's hardly a day that goes by where I'm not having that conversation with somebody, either whether they're right for sales, whether they're right for a business owner, or whether they're right as an entrepreneur. There's a big component in terms of being successful, in terms of your attitude. 50% or more of success has nothing to do with product, price, service, strategies, and tactics. It has to do with attitudinal, it has to do with passion. And our public knows whether it's just a job and we're just going through the routine, or whether we're truly passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah, I think passion has to be one of the main feelings, and not money. That I've discussed on the show many a time, that if someone just goes into a business for money, it will fail.
There isn't any question about that. And I've never met a successful person, however you describe success, who hasn't had to go through bumps in the road. You know, I can tell you, as a speaker, we tend to get on stage and someone introduces us with all of this lofty language, and we leave out the sad tales. One of the lofty languages in my business is that I had a company that was the 10th fastest growing company in the United States in 1998. What we leave out is that within a year later, I stood in front of 275 employees and let 240 of them go in a single day.
Wow.
Because of changes in the business environment. And so what you have to then say is, can you hitch up your pants and go in the next day with the 35 people that are left and rebuild the company? That's about grit. That's about attitude. That has nothing to do with the strategies and tactics and the business plan.
I think it's you really need to know as well when it is time to get out. I think that's a skill in itself.
I think there's a skill involved, but I can tell you with my own personal history, there's a nice component called luck in there as well.
Serendipity.
I was in the residential mortgage lending business and exited the business on one occasion just as the financial crisis was ensuing, and so got out with the skin of my teeth. And it had nothing to do with my clairvoyance about this thing's about to blow.
Gut feeling, Jack. Gut feeling.
Yeah, right.
I say you live on it every day.
You've got to use your brain, but there's a lot of talent in that gut. Don't overlook it. I tell people when they're hiring people, if you're interviewing someone to hire them, and all of the signals are sending positivity, but your gut is saying, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
then if you're not sold on that person completely, pass.
Yeah. Have you had many sleepless nights, Jack?
I've had enough that I worked really hard to not have them again.
Yeah.
As a speaker and as an educator, I've got a lot less than when I was running a business and had thousands of employees.
I heard a great saying, says an entrepreneur sleeps like a baby, wakes up every 2 hours.
It's good.
Yes.
I would tell you that my wife would say that I work so focused and hard all day that I fall asleep at night in the middle of a sentence. I wake up in the morning and finish the sentence.
Yes. Well, do you know what it is as well? When you're doing something that you love, you could work till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and you don't feel the time slipping past. It's only when you're doing something you're not enjoying that it's an ache and you don't want to be there.
Couldn't have said it better. I can't tell you how many people I've said, I really have never really worked. All I've done is things that I enjoy immensely, and the money somehow tracked me down along the way.
Just going to take a short break. Do you want to discover how to be unique in your marketplace, transform your business by attracting and inspiring your ideal client, or have myself, Joe Dalton, to speak at your next event? Would you like to attend one of my workshops or be coached by myself? If any of the above are of interest, please contact me, joe@jdc.ie. I have the impression that there's a lot of young people who are coming out of college and they're in their 20s. And they believe, looking at the likes of yourself and looking at other people who are very successful, that it's an overnight success. And we talk about this on the show as well, about, it takes time, it's consistency. Most businesses can fail within the first 3 years because they don't realise the amount of time it takes for the first sale, or the amount of money that is needed to get the company up off the ground. And with young people coming on and coming into business and want to start up their own, do you sort of say to them, look, baby step, guys, and you have to really understand it's more than just glitz and gold?
So again, the best advice I give to new entry people is hitch your wagon to somebody, attach yourself to somebody that's got some experience and some success, and interview them intently, and go deep with them and find out what their story is. You'll find commonalities in the stories of successful people, and an awful lot of it's going to be there's a lot of work, there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of risk, and it takes a certain temperament before you crack the code. The overnight success thing, in my opinion, just doesn't exist. I can remember as a young kid watching the Beatles be performed for the first time in the U.S. on the Ed Sullivan Show, and people talked about the Beatles being an overnight success. But when you dig into their history, you find that they were playing in clubs that had they were not being paid, and they were working crazy hours, and they were doing it thousands and thousands of times. The comedian Jim Carrey, the same story. And you go and you look at the history of these people that are encountering success, and you find that they were spending not just a year or two, but sometimes decades working hard without pay or little pay in order to get the basis from which to launch into their successful career.
True. What's the best business advice you've ever received?
Taking a risk and not worrying whether you're going to fail or succeed, but to take the risk and learn from the failures when you've taken those risks.
Yeah, it's better making the decision than no decision at all.
Wow. If you stand in the middle of the freeway and you don't know which side of the freeway to go to, whether it's the left side or the right side, if you stay there long enough, you're going to get hit.
Yeah, it can be scary there as well, I'd say. That's scary.
Yeah,
indeed.
just jump left or jump right, and when you get over the other side, if you realize you went the wrong way, then make your way over to the other side.
And apart from your own book, what book would you recommend for someone to read?
Oh, my goodness. It's such an easy answer. It's Endurance. And Endurance is the book that's written about Shackleton's journey to Antarctica. I will tell you, Joe, that if the book is 250 pages, by the time you're at page 80, you're wondering, how could there be more pages left? This guy has gone through the battles of a lifetime. The story of Shackleton's journey is so inspiring and so helpful from a business standpoint. If you took me to a second book and it was focused on entrepreneurialism, I would say that it would be The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Talking about endurance, you're an Ironman as well. Well done.
Yeah.
We had Ironman came over here for the first time this year.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Well, imagine this. At 58 years old, I did not know how to swim. And the Ironman starts out with a 3.8 kilometer swim, followed by a 180K bike, followed by a 42K run. I was a runner, but I had to go and buy myself a bike, and I had to learn how to swim to take on the Ironman. Here I am today with 15 full Ironmans under my belt, and I had the good fortune to make it into Kona at the World Championship.
You put many a young man to shame, Jack. Many a young man.
I'll tell you what I'm very excited about this year that took place, and that is a 20-plus year goal of doing a marathon in all of the 50 states in the U.S. and on all 7 continents. Both of those were accomplished this year. Big year for me. The continents were finished on the Great Wall of China in May.
Jack, where can people locate you or find you?
Our website is very simple, jackdaly.net, and Daly is spelled D-A-L-Y. So jackdaly.net is the easiest. And I do answer my own emails, and that is jack@jackdaly.net. Easiest way to get me.
Are the books up on Amazon as well? Are they Audible?
Yeah, they're all of that. And I had a good run the last 3 years. The 3 books that I published all made it to number 1 on Amazon as the number 1 best-selling business book. In fact, Hyper Sales Growth 4 years ago when it was published, the first week of publication was the number 1 best-selling business book in 7 countries on week 1. So we've had a good run.
I read a book a week myself.
Wow, good for you. One of my bucket list items is to read a book a week. I average somewhere around 35 to 40 a year, but I haven't found my way to crack the code. But I think with all those miles I'm going to be traveling in the air next year, that's my year. You're
going to get it. And we're looking forward to it. When you're over here in October, we'll definitely hook up. Jack, it's been a pleasure having you on Breakthrough Brands. Really enjoyed the chat.
I think we're in great shape, and I'll see you in October.
See you then.